No. All right.
Oh, there you go.
Showing we're live. Are we on?
I'm trying to find this on.
Stand by, everybody. We're going to play a little Mark Anthony music. Oh, pretty good. All right. Are we across the? All right. Okay. Sorry about the technical difficulties. It seems to be an internet issue going on, as that seems to happen 10% of the time. Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Let's not get carried away, Mr. Maddox. Looking good.
Yeah, we don't need the lies, sir. We know where we stand, and we've accepted it years ago. So, Tass.
Yes, sir.
I mean, look, can you believe we're going into September, the last month of the third quarter, and then it's the fourth quarter to end the year of 2022. I mean, it's incredible.
It is. It isn't. I mean, time just does not slow down for anybody or anything. And yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to think, you know, how well a lot of these people have, the schools have pushed through COVID as well, you know. And that is, it's funny because not that long ago, but it seems like forever ago.
I'm going to get, I'm just texting to try to share this with everybody to see if I can get what our final count of new enrollments was for August. We talked about this 2 weeks ago, right? Last week was the bye week. Is that right?
I believe, yeah.
So 2 weeks ago, we talked about how, you know, the doors are open right now and the floodgates are open for enrollments and new students, which we're also going to talk about the single biggest mistake I believe school owners make. And the only reason why I say that we happen to know this is because it seems to be, I'm not going to say 99. What would you say? 95%, 90, 99? What would you say as far as when we talk to school owners, when we ask them how we help, they give us the answer of what they feel is going to help them. And it's the end all be all. It's going to help them. But in the industry's mind, this is the answer. Like this is what's going to take me to the next level. And by the way, I just got the text. Thank you, Mr. Peterman. So everybody can see this. Here's how many students. Now we talk about it all the time, right? And I know contracts or term agreements are a big scare or taboo in the industry. And there's some people who will justify by saying no one likes to sign an agreement or a contract or this or that. Here's how many students we signed up this last month in August on a 1-year term. You can never see this because it's
AKA a 1-year contract, if we want to talk about it.
1-year contracts.
2.35. That's amazing.
Yep, but that's spread out.
235 students.
235 new students, man, enrolled on 1-year terms over 7 locations. I'm not going to pull the wool over your eyes here and just make it sound like that's one location, but 235 divided by 7, that's an average of 33.57. So just say an average of 34 new enrollments per location on 1-year terms. And by the way, that's not an anomaly. It's what we talked about, as I said 2 weeks ago, that if you don't understand the systems of how to take advantage of the back to school season, whether you work with just adults or kids, doesn't matter. It's about routines. We're not going to go into a seminar format here. If you don't know how to do that, you need to learn. Because I will tell you this, everybody, I'm also not going to lie to anybody here. We're not going to sign up 235 students in March. We're not going to do that, right? We're going to sign up 235 students in August, and we're going to sign up a bunch in September. That's yet to be seen, but we will sign up more students in August and September than any other 2 months back to back for the rest of the year. But you got to make sure that you guys understand that. Mr. Blackman, how are you, sir? Good to see you. So, Tass, questions or thoughts before we talk about the single biggest mistake school owners make.
Yeah, we'll close the loop on the 99, 95%, whatever it was. And then, oh, Peterman just texted me. So let me go back to that.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Yeah, that's an interesting question. And I would say the majority, right? And by the way, of the minority, when you really peel back the layers, it usually comes down to the same thing. I mean, there's very few people that recognize that they have other challenges within their school that can help them to maximize their success in their school. Doesn't mean they're not successful, right? I mean, if you have 1,000 students, as 500 students, let me make it more realistic, right? 300 students, doesn't matter. And you're doing 30,000 a month, that may be success for you, right? But what we know is that you're not maximizing your success, because we can compare and contrast these numbers not only all over the country but all over the world, right? And so there's metrics and there's ways to do that. Some people figure things differently, but we've been doing this for a long time, and it's easy for us to see through and really look at the numbers and have an objective view as to what needs to happen within the school, because we've just seen it so many times. And sometimes as school owners, we get black belt eyes, right? And we're so focused on tunnel vision. And I'll tell you, I caught myself, well, I was with my team a couple days ago, and they were saying all these different things that we need to do. It's very easy to get caught up in the busy and not be focused on the three things. Now, we talked about, yeah, everyone wants new students. They, of course, are important, right? But at the end of the day, yeah, we need to focus on recruitment. That's an all the time thing, but it's not the only thing. And so I said to them, hey, we got to get focused right now. What are we doing for recruitment? What are we doing for retention? And what are we doing for revenue? And that's where the focus has to stay. And so easy, especially if you're by yourself, right, to get pulled off and be like, hey, I want to do some, brand awareness stuff, or we got to do some rebranding, or I needed to get these mirrors done, or I got to get that wall fixed. Those are all things that have to happen. But if we get caught up in those habits every day, those things are not things that help to, improve the school. So it was just an aha moment for me the other day, because I was listening to my team. I could hear them going down that rabbit hole, and I had to kind of pull them back and remind them of what are the three things that it takes to run the school.
Kind of like me asking you a question, getting a text from Peterman, and totally getting distracted and forgetting what I was talking about.
Right.
Kind of like that. I wanted to do that, was on purpose. That was to show a lot of example.
I'm glad that went
how you get distracted. Hey, let me ask everybody watching. Anybody that wants, can anyone share how many new enrollments you got for the month of August? We ended August. If you want to share, how many new students did you get in August? That's number one.
For clarity,
Yep.
There's a difference between a new enrollment student and a trial. So how many new students did you get? Not trials.
Right, not trials. Nope, not trials. Full-fledged new enrollments. So look, Mr. Blackman, 65 new enrollments. By the way, Mr. Blackman's in my elite family. I can tell you those are all on terms. Mr. Costa, 11. That's very good. And by the way, Mr. Costa, it's good because I know where we've been. Mm-hmm. That's the thing we got to look at. I know where we've been. But Mr. Costa, what I would ask you could put it in there. Did school start for you in August, or does it start next week or in September? Look at this, guys. 43. 46. Mr. Cantu, 25. 15. And Mr. Costa, school starts in September, which tells me the reason I asked that question is because you're going to do a lot more in September than August. So that's why I asked the question. The next question, well, first let's just call it out on the theme of the show today. And let me break it down for everybody, because some of you may know this. Some of you may disagree with this. Some of you may not believe it. I mean, it doesn't matter, because this is the Mets Tassel show. So, but here, thanks, Tass. See, Tass, how I'm laughing after my sarcasm?
Yeah, now you are. After the conversation this morning.
Right, after our conversation this morning, I'll do a little chuckle after my sarcastic humor, just so more people know that I'm joking.
Yeah, Metzger doesn't believe. Well, Metzger believes that you know, if he talks to you and he likes you and he starts his sarcasm, he's just not sure everybody really understands it, and they think maybe he's a jerk. And if maybe you guys can tune in on that and let us know what your thoughts are.
By the way, Metzger hasn't stopped being that way, because I think that it's either
that's right. He won't. So whatever you say, it's not going to stop him. He's going to keep going. And I told him there's no question. Like, I think people might think I said, no, there's no question. They don't think it. They absolutely. There's no question about it. They know it.
That's right. Second school, 27. Mr. Green, 16 new students, and school starts in September. 12. Guys, what's interesting here is everybody that posted something here, you're in the double digits, which is fantastic. But here's the single biggest mistake the industry makes as a whole, and this isn't everybody, and that is that the end all be all to the answer to make your school more successful is by getting new students. That's the biggest mistake we make in the industry. And why is that a mistake? Because we will put so much focus on just recruiting new students that you will get yourself into that perpetual, constant uphill fight. Eventually, you're going to plateau. It might be 100 students, it might be 500 students, but eventually you're going to plateau on that focus, and you're going to constantly struggle. Now, here's easy math, just so you understand, right? If you have a 5% attrition rate, and this is easy to understand, but you need to make sure your team and that you're conscious of this. If you have a 5% attrition rate, meaning you're losing an average of 5 students, well, 5% of students a month, and you're enrolling 5 people a month, and you open your school and you're enrolling 5, you will stop at 100, because once you get to 100, you're losing 5 as you're enrolling 5. And you're never going to get past that 100 mark. What's important about that is you all are enrolling an average number of students, whatever that average is. There's an average number. All of you have an average attrition rate. At some point, they're going to meet. But if you've been running your school a certain way to get to that average enrollment rate, and you've been running your school a certain way that has gotten you to that retention rate, once you hit that plateau, you cannot continue running the school the same way you've been, or you are going to just stay where you're at. Something has to change. You either have to start figuring out how to get that average of enrollments higher to get to the next plateau, or you got to figure out a way to decrease attrition rate or increase retention rate. You got to figure out a way. If you can do both, you will grow your school exponentially. That's how you're going to grow your school. So the end all be all isn't just recruiting, it's also retaining. However, let me ask you this in an honest question here, Tass, and I want you to think about it really quick on what your gut is. How many schools do you think that we've reached out to us in the beginning, before they've jumped on with Elite or anything, where they are charging X amount a month, but when you multiply what they're charging by the number of students they have, it doesn't even add up to that number? What percent of those people? That's 1A for you.
Yeah. And you know that 93.6% of stats are made up on the spot, right? So
right.
I will say the majority, 80% plus. I mean, probably 90% plus. When you figure out,
so before you even go, let me make it down. That means somebody will call us and say, I have 100 students training. We'll say, well, what are you charging? I charge $100 a month. Do you have family plans? Do you have discounts? No, everybody's at $100 a month. Okay, so you have 100 students paying $100 a month. Yes. What are you grossing each month? Like total money coming in, not tuition payments. Total money, uniform sales, bottled waters, mouthpieces, gear, total money, $8,000. Right? And you'll say that's probably 80% or more.
Yep.
Okay. Now let me ask part B to that. How many people have whatever number of students, but they are not grossing what our average elite client is grossing with the same number of students. What percent of those people do you think you talk to? So we have an elite client that has 100 students. You have a new person that reaches out to you that has 100 students. They're both charging the same amount. What percent?
That number is like literally 99%. Sometimes there's an anomaly, but the anomaly is they're on the East Coast. They're charging $225 a month for tuition, and they're getting it, right? That's the anomaly. But that's 99% of the case. Someone that comes to us who has the same number of students is always grossing a lot less than what we're grossing. Or if you want to talk about student value, same thing, right? Same numbers. But it's always substantially less. Always.
And that's like, go ahead.
Well, I don't want to get off this topic, but I was going to say that I'm going to anyways. You're reading off these numbers of enrollments. And here, to Metzger's point, none of you can say whether that's good or that's bad. You're like, oh my God, 65 enrollments. Now I happen to know Mr. Blackman. But okay, well, what if he has 1,000 students and he has a 6.5%, 7% attrition rate? That's not good, because he's got 1,000, he's losing 65 a month. He needed to enroll 65. And I'm using that to exaggerate the point, right? But you may have a school that has 200 students and they've got a 2% attrition rate, which is also extremely good. And they're losing 4 students a month, but they enrolled 11 or 12 this month. They're doing great, right? It's the same thing when you talk about gross revenue versus net income, right? So it's not, when we say these things or we ask these questions, obviously we want to get the feedback and show you what's possible, but also I don't want you to get enamored by the numbers so much that you look at it and go, well, we could never do that, because you also don't know the backstory. Now, that's not to say that a school with 1,000 students can't have a 3 or 4% attrition rate, right? Or 500 students. So, but I just want you to understand the concept. We've said this before. Stop taking things at face value and always ask the questions why. And well, what does that mean? You know, and this is an important distinction, because I don't think anybody on here did it because we defined it. But I do know people that if you ask them how many new students they enrolled this month, they will give you an answer of every new student, everybody that's on trial. They'll give you everybody, because maybe they define it differently, or they define a new student differently, right? But there is a clear difference between a student and a trial. You ask somebody at a tournament how many students they have in their school. They have 153. They're going to run to the nearest 100. They're going to say, we have 200 students. I mean, it's just what happens. And that line doesn't affect anybody except for that school owner, right? And so I think it's important to really dive into the numbers and know what they mean and how it works. But yeah, you know, there's so much that can happen with your existing students where we're not nickel and diming them, where we can help to raise that student value.
And by the way, as you're talking, just to, you know, I just think it is as transparent as we can be, as motivational or inspirational to everybody. As you were doing that, I just calculated our student value for July based on the amount of students, active students that I had for July, right? And this can change by a little bit, but we charge $169 a month for our basic program. There was our student value for July. $257.89.90 basically. And again, I'm just going by the sheet that I had from July. You know, that'll change a little bit, but just to give you an idea. Now,
but full disclosure on the Mets, two things. You guys have gone through 2 price increases in the last year. So that 169 rate that you just gave is actually really new. And you didn't go back and raise everyone's rates to 169.
No,
so I want to be clear about that.
Yeah, that's one right? Based on really 159.
Right. And number 2 is, and you guys hear us say this all the time, and there's nothing wrong with it, but I just want to be clear. Number 2 is it does not include any sort of summer camp or after school. So I just want to be clear about that as well.
And the thing
is, those numbers
we don't want to make this. Go ahead.
I was going to say, if you have an after school program or a summer camp, that's going to inflate your student value. So you look at that number, you're like, oh, well, we're beating that. Okay, well, do you have after school or summer camp? Well, that's going to inflate your numbers. You have to strip all those people out and just do your nighttime. You should have a student value for after school and summer camp, and you should have a student value for your martial arts students.
couple things. Let's just answer Mr. Johnson's question here. What are a few keys to ensure school culture with a new influx of enrollments? I did my first mass intro, and the flow of new students all at once has new dynamics. It absolutely does. I can tell you out of the 235 enrollments that we did in July, in one weekend at mass intros, we enrolled 151 of the 235 in one weekend, right?
In
so
August,
that's a massive amount of, what's that?
In August, not July. You said July, but in August.
Or in August, sorry.
Yep.
In August. You know what? And by the way, I'm going to correct. I was looking at the July active count. So yeah, the August count, it would be a little different for that student value. But there's a couple things you must do, Mr. Johnson. Number one, when you walk in on Monday and you enrolled 30 new white belts over the weekend, or 20 or 50 or whatever it is, and you get this influx of people, you cannot ignore it. You cannot just organize the class and ignore the chaos of the lobby and the perception of the customers. You got to make an announcement and you got to give them a solution. So you got to say, whoa, parents, we had an event over the weekend. As you can see, we got a lot of new enrollments. Please bear with us. This is going to smooth out. We're going to be looking at our schedule, and over the next couple of weeks, we may add a couple classes. We're going to spread things out. But in the meantime, I love the energy. I love the class size. We're going to have an awesome class. Kids or students, are you ready to have an awesome class? You got to call it out. You got to be positive, but you have to make sure that you talk about the fact that you know it's an issue. Don't ignore it, or the parents are going to be like, this is ridiculous. Last week I came in here, I was able to find a seat. I can't even find a seat for a parent to sit or whatever. You got to call it out and talk about the fact that we're going to solve this over the next couple of weeks. That's number one, and that's for your existing people. Number two, you must get with every student that enrolled on that Saturday. And by the way, when they enroll on the Saturday, you pre-frame them and say, hey, look, when you come into class next week, it might be, a big class, but we're going to be there. We're going to accommodate you. We may have to add some classes. However, I want to make sure, I just want you to be looking out. I'm going to be touching base with you next week to set a one-on-one appointment to talk more about what your needs and wants are on what you're looking to get out of our program for yourself or your child or whoever it is. Plus, I want to sit down with you and tell you about all the things that we offer and that we do here besides just coming to class a couple days a week. You got to get those one-on-one appointments, or your attrition rate is going to get worse, especially with all those people. And also all your other people in your beginner classes that were used to having 15 people in class. Now they come to class, there's 35, and it's not a good environment. So we got to add classes. By the way, on this topic, let's just put it in context, Task. This is why we had to do 30-minute beginner classes. Now, some people will say, oh, you're a McDojo, 30-minute classes. You can't do anything in 30 minutes. We didn't choose to do 30 minutes. When we have the parents there, and when you have 40 people, white belts in class, and your class is 45 minutes or 40 minutes, somebody's getting neglected. Somebody's against the wall. Somebody's not getting the chief instructor's attention as much, right? You can't do that with 40 people. You can have all the helpers and leadership, but the chief instructor of that class, perception-wise to a parent, they're not getting the attention, and there's some downtime, or they're off doing a partner drill, which sometimes kids are messing around, and it's just because you have an extra 15 minutes. We had to go to 30 minutes because we had to add more classes in. When you go to a class of 40 and you can cut that down to 20, parents loved it. They absolutely loved it. And we can keep that class 30 minutes of pure nonstop go, 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 go for that 30 minutes. But we were forced to do that. It was either that or tell people we just can't accommodate you, right? We don't want to do that for beginners. Once they get out of the beginners, then you can have longer class times. But we had to cut that down for beginners. Go ahead, Tass.
I'm smirking because, here's the thing, right? Like, what would you say? I was going to say, well, now with the 235 enrollments, you're actually going to 20-minute classes. I was being facetious when I said that. Only kidding. But here's the thing, right?
There's a limit.
There is a limit, number one. And number two, then the question is, Well, why don't you just have a 3,000 square foot mat? And I know you said it, where you can accommodate 40, 50, 60 people, and they have space in the mat, and there's plenty of space in the lobby or the viewing area.
Are you at you? Or is that a rhetorical question, or are you going to answer it for everybody?
No, that's a question for you.
Okay, so here's the deal on that. It's not about what you can accommodate and handle all the time. Number one, do you have the proper staffing and qualified staff to handle a class that size? Number one. Number two, larger schools, more expense, more rent, more utilities, more cost. Number three, perception to a parent. Why don't I just have a 10,000 square foot mat and have 200 students on the floor? To the parents sitting there, right? We are trained that I have a daughter in elementary school and a daughter in middle school. One of the first questions my wife asked when they started school was, well, how many students are in the class for each teacher, right? So I don't personally like having more than 25 kids in a class. Do I have schools that have more than 25 kids in a class? Of course we do. But I like when we do, I want to try to solve that with class schedules without sacrificing the quality. So can I keep the attention of a 7-year-old for an hour class easier than keeping their attention for 40 minutes? I think I can accomplish the same, if not more, with retention, so they're not getting bored with 40 minutes, personally. Some of you can disagree, and that's okay, right? But the thing is I back up what I say in the data, right? I mean, we have high-level competitors. We've been doing it this way for forever, right? And so I don't want to create more expense. I want to make sure that I can run efficiently, because it's very difficult to find good people. The bigger the mat space and the more students you want, that's fine. But the more qualified instructors you need, you get people calling out, or if they're sick or this, that, and the other, then a parent, listen, all the parents, if you deal with kids or if you're an adult, the only person I care about is my kid or me. That's it. Someone's going to be neglected more so than someone else. And it could be as simple as this. You could be doing a technique. The one student out of 50 kids in class, you got everybody, you got it on 49 kids. One person is doing something with the wrong arm or the wrong leg or wrong technique. And the parent sitting there only sees their son. And that parent now will say, this is ridiculous. They're not even paying attention. I mean, you got 50 kids in this class. You got kids punching with the wrong hand or kicking with the wrong leg. No, I only have one. It just happens to be your kid, but now that's your perception. Now I'm most likely going to lose you eventually, because that's the perception. So I like to keep classes no bigger than 25. It's not always possible, but I'm going to try to add classes and maximize my schedule not before I get a 10,000 square foot space or a 5,000 square foot space, but before I open a second location in the radius, if I'm in a location where there's just high demand.
Right. Right on. No, and that's great. You know, I think the other thing is going back to Mr. Johnson's question, and this goes, and we're not going to talk a lot about this, but it's floor management, right? Like, and I try and tell this to the instructors all the time. You have to have not only mat vision, you have to have like dojo vision. You have to see who's coming in the front door, who's on the mat, who's in the lobby, what's going on, and be able to run that, that 3-ring circuit and be able to control it, so to speak. So I think that's a key factor as well. Is that somebody I know walking through the door? Oh, is that the intro appointment at 4:00? Did I make sure that we go greet them right away? Because you do. And when you sit back, if you ever sit back and watch your own classes, you should be your own worst critic. So if you're the head instructor, chief instructor, and by the way, you will be your own worst critic, video your classes. And you're going to sit back and go, oh man, I could fix that. I could fix that. I can fix that. And you may even be trying to perform at a higher level because you're videoing yourself, and you're going to go and you're going to go view it later, and you're still going to find things that you can improve on. But I've seen this happen in my own school. When I see a kid who's not sitting up straight, or I see someone that's not doing what they're supposed to do, I'm all over the assistants. You guys have to recognize that. We got to get over there immediately because of what you said, Metz. That parent has seen that. And if their kid's not paying attention, they believe that we're not paying attention. And that's a grounds for somebody to quit, right? And you've said this, and this has resonated with me. But if you have a school of 200 students and you're sitting at a 5%, or let's call it a 4% attrition rate, right? And you're going to lose 8 students, right? 200 students with a 4% attrition, you're going to lose 8 students. Well, if we just think about that, we're like, okay, it's 8 students a month. That's one way to think about it, and that may resonate with you. But sometimes the power of exaggeration, and by the way, not like exaggeration where we're lying, but if you said, hey, look, when you go in today, look at all your students, say there's 2 students in the school today that will not be here next week. And then when I come back in the next week, you're teaching classes, there's 2 more students that aren't going to be here next week. Who are they going to be? And when you think about it, for me, when I think about it that way, it's like, dang, who are they going to be? Like, I gotta make sure I'm doing my best job in class. And that's a retention thing, right? And so we often see that our attrition is camouflaged, especially this time of year, with all the new enrollments that we're getting in. So you've really got to pay attention to your retention. And we talk about this in seminars as one of the 5 profit centers, and nobody really understands it or really maybe even believes it. They go, oh yeah, I get it. If I keep a student a month longer, I make an extra $140 or whatever I'm charging. It's literally tens of thousands of dollars a year with a 1% difference in your attrition or retention. So just keep that in mind.
And Tess, as you're talking, right, there's people that are jumping on, jumping off, because there's certain people watching that are like, oh, of course I know this, right? I know I got to keep my eyes on the lobby, this, that, and the other. Right. You guys got to ask yourself, just ask yourself this question though. It's one thing to understand the concept. It's another thing on how well you execute the concept and your presentation. That's where I feel we're good, right? I feel that we are good at trying to convey that and coach or teach that. But of course, you know that. If we took a test and I said, okay, you're running a business, you have a customer coming in the door, should they be greeted at the door, yes or no? Well, everyone watching this is going to say, of course, yes, but not all of you do it.
Right.
Some of you do it sometimes. Some of you don't do it at all. Some of you are going to say, well, I'm a one-man or one-woman show. I can't do that. You would be wrong. You can do that. There's a way to do that. My point is it's about what you do. The next question you need to ask yourself is, why am I running a martial arts school just like everybody else on here, let's just say, but why are they doing $500,000 more a year than me? Why are they doing it? By the way, why are they doing it when I think I teach better students than them? That's your opinion. I'm just saying, whatever's going through your mind, you got to ask yourself why. Obviously, they're doing something better, but you don't think that. In our industry, what we do is we'll justify it. Oh, because they're just all about the money. They're just all about sales. That's a way to make yourself feel better, because you're not doing you're not making the same decision. No, that's true. There's some people that they're just salesmen. They're just selling, and they're not providing and backing up what they're selling. That's true. That's true in any industry. That's not true in the Maya Elite family. I mean, because of it's not what we teach, right? But it's true. There's some of that, but don't pay attention to that. Pay attention to some of the other people that are doing a lot more in revenue, providing unbelievable careers for their black belts. Why can they do it and you cannot? Don't say it's because they're just selling. Don't say it's because they're in a better location. You know, I said this before. If you feel that my schools are in a better location, that's because I chose to open a school in a better location. You chose not to. I mean, it's all about choices and decisions. But you got to first look inward and say, okay, I'm willing to see, right? Here's the other thing you'll say about the consulting companies or Maya or whatever. Not you guys watching. I wish more people watched, but you got to understand, it's the people that aren't watching that are the most closed-minded. Right. Because they'll see us and they'll be like, oh yeah, I've seen these clowns, you know, this, that, and the other. They're not listening. They're not listening to the intent, not just us, but anybody that's trying to give good information. They've had a bad experience with a consulting company and they just want to go by, right? It's the decisions that we make. Plain and simple, period. It's the decisions that we make. And Tass and I specifically, and the My Elite consultants, we all have our own schools. We all have our own thing going on. I think I said this on the consultant call. I did say it. I had a meeting with all the consultants, and I made it crystal clear on Tuesday. We had the call, right? Tuesday was the consultant call, Tass?
Yeah.
I think it was Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday.
But I said, listen, to the consultants, the only reason I want you to be a consultant is because of one reason. You're passionate about helping others in this industry. If you're here to try to make money, get out and find something else to do. Focus on your school, because you're not going to make a lot of money doing this. Just not, right? We're doing it because we truly have a passion to elevate our industry and help the people that want to be helped. And why do I have a soft spot for that? Because I struggled for a long time and I remember that feeling. And I don't think anybody in business needs to have that feeling, right? So we're here to help you guys. I hope you understand what we're saying, but also when you hear what we're saying and you're sitting there saying, of course, of course, of course, stop and ask yourself, well, I know what they're saying. Do I do that well? By the way, here's something we do. Look, it's right here. I'll be going over this in October at the Elite Conference.
It's bright and shiny white. I can't really see it.
Here
oh,
it
there
is.
you go. Is that the instructor evaluation? Yeah.
Yes, the instructor evaluation, school assessment sheets. I got this. You got to rate yourself. We got to be honest, and we got to rate ourselves at how well we do certain things.
And by the way, this is a great point, Metz. You may be hearing this saying, we know. If I gave you that sheet to rate yourself, and then this is important to understand. See if I can say this the right way. Your staff, if you have a team or a staff or leadership or assistants or volunteers or whatever, they may also say, yeah, I know. And when you give them a survey of all of those things and they are circling the right answers or where they believe to be on that survey, and then you fill out a survey for them, it would be interesting to see if your numbers match up or not, right? Because usually what happens is things are seen and perceived differently by different people, right? And by the way, sometimes we're harder on ourselves, sometimes we're not, but it's just one of those things. Look, just take a checkup from the neck up and go and watch and see. If you're walking into your school every day, and I'm the opposite, right? But if you walk into your school every day and you're like, everything's great, everything's fine, we got this down. Good. That's a great high level of confidence, but then there's no room for improvement. As opposed to walking and saying, no, how can we be the best? What can we do today to be better than we were yesterday? And you're going to find some things, right? You'll absolutely find things. Yeah, I saw this comment, Metz. Being a good salesman does not exclude you from being a good teacher. I don't disagree, right? But I would define salesman because for me, at least in my school, right, I don't want the quote unquote hard closing. And I worked in a health club for years. And literally, what one of the salespeople asked me to do was to take a potential member to the bathroom, have him take his shirt off and tell him he could not afford not to enroll. I wasn't doing it. Like, I'm not doing that. That's just belittling. Like, I'm not going to do that, right? So defining what a good salesperson is and hard closing people, that's a little bit different, right? But can you be a very good presenter and present and have the passion and compassion for what you do? If that's being a good salesperson to you, I agree. I think you got passion for the arts. You have passion for what you do. It exudes out to other people, and I think I just saw Peterman post this, right? I think it was from one of, here I am back to Kovar again, but one of Kovar's things about just your conviction that you put forward, people can sense that and they'll want to be a part of that, right? So if that's what being a good salesperson is, I 100% agree, by the way, right? I don't think you have to be great at sales or a great instructor and it's an either or. You can be both.
By the way, be a great salesman for long term, not short term. And what I mean by that is, don't be a great salesman in the moment when someone's sitting across the desk and you're selling them a vision that tomorrow you can't back up. Be a great salesman. So in 6 months from now, your customers coming back to you, thanking you for pushing them over the edge on making the decision to enroll with you, because you're giving them 10 times the value and the service than what you promised them when they were sitting in front of you across the desk. So, salesman's another term where someone will hear it and just shut off and be like, oh, that's all you're about is sales, sales, sales. Yeah, that's what we're all about, guys. You have to sell. I mean, you have somebody that walks in off the street that's never done martial arts in their life that might be inquiring for themselves or their kid. You have to sell them on what you're selling, on what you're offering, or else how are they going to sign up with you, right? You got to paint some kind of picture, but are you backing it up? And that is the biggest thing that we preach in our schools is, under promise and over deliver. We want to go above and beyond whatever it was that we told these customers when they were coming in to begin with. But again, you guys know this. You guys know this. But it goes back to, why aren't you doing it as well as another martial arts school? Why are they doing it better? That's what you got to figure out. You got to look deeper, stop justifying, and say, look, obviously I'm missing something. Obviously, here, let me do this. Look, let me be really transparent. I told you how many students we enrolled. Here's our numbers. My Avalon Park school, I won't name all the schools. One school signed up 36 students last month. Another one signed up 24. Another one signed up 26. Another one signed up 52. Another one signed up 14. Another one signed up 45. Another one signed up 38. Well, the one that signed up at 14 new students last month, there's a hole there. They're obviously not doing something that the other schools are doing. However, the school that signed up 14 has the highest student value in the company year to date. So they're obviously doing something that the other schools aren't doing. It's a constant management of data, assessing the numbers, the data, and constantly fixing the holes. Tass, you know what Peterman calls it. What does Peterman call it? Do you remember? Did you ever hear his term on what it is to operate and manage everything? Whack-a-mole. He calls it whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
It's like, boom, I solved that one. Boop, another thing pops up. Boop, another one. It's constant. You're running a business, everybody. You're running a business. The question is, who can run that business more efficiently and better? Well, I don't know. You got to look at the numbers, because the numbers don't lie to you. The numbers don't care about your feelings. The numbers are going to tell you the truth. You can say all the stuff you want in the background, but if you're running a low student count, if you're just making ends meet, you're not making ends meet, and you just want to bash everything else or have your own beliefs, that's cool, but your numbers are going to tell you the truth. You got to let your guard down. Go ahead, Tass.
Well,
it's
one of the biggest challenges with schools is that they don't know their numbers, or you think you know your numbers because they're on the dashboard of your CRM. And that's the other big thing that I'm seeing. And so you think that you know your numbers.
Explain that. I'll be right there.
Yeah. You think right that there. You know your numbers because they're on the dashboard of your CRM. And at the end of the day, that can give you like real-time data where you're at for the month. And some of you are going to say, well, I can run reports and I can pull last month and I can pull year to date. But until and unless you have all of that data in front of you, and I'm a big fan of extracting your data from your CRM. And the reason is because I can look at my data differently and organize it how I want and have it all in front of me, as opposed to having to be at the mercy of the reports of the CRMs that we use, right? And I'm not saying anything bad about the CRM companies. I'm just saying that data isn't always as readily available in the format that you want it to be able to compare and contrast numbers. You might be able to go to a dashboard and say, okay, here's how many students I enrolled for July. And then you got to go back to a different dashboard. Here's how many I did for June. But you got to extract those numbers, put them onto a spreadsheet, because at the end of the day, Metzger said it, your school and where your strengths are going to be shown in those numbers. Where your weaknesses are are going to be shown in those numbers. And whatever we're strong with, we'll just continue to do that. But whatever we're weak on, that's what needs to be improved. And that's where we can really start to ramp things up. And as a coach or as a consultant, it's our job to look at those numbers. If people don't understand, well, how to do this or what's happening, this is why I can see things in my school that my staff can't, because I'm just in tune to the numbers and I've been doing this for so long. But look, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out, here's how many leads we had, here's how many appointments were booked, here's how many showed, here's how many enrolled. And when you look at a percentage of the showed to enrolled and it's 30%, you have a presentation problem or an enrollment problem. If you look at your leads to your show rate and it's 10% of your leads show up for an appointment, you have a rapport problem on the telephone, right? So we can identify where the problem is based off of the numbers, and then we work on fixing those things. However, I will say this last thing.
Well, I think we may have lost TAS, everybody. Let's see. All right, well, we're waiting for TAS. Here's what I want to pull up real quick for everybody. Teach every class as if it's your last class you'll teach. You all heard that, right? We're going to get his last thing in a minute, everyone. Teach every class. You guys have heard that. You say it, but here's the reality. One of the classes you're teaching this week will be one of your students' last classes. Think about that. It will be someone's last class. And when you think about that, instead of just having a nice little quote, which is what we all say, teach every class as if it's the last class you'll teach, just really understand that one of those students, it is their last class. It is someone's last class. That's why it's so, so important. TAS, you left us hanging with, you want to say one last thing.
Right. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. It was weird. But you can identify problems when you have your numbers. But the question is which challenge or which problem do you need to fix first that's going to have the biggest impact on your business? And sometimes we're not focused on that, right? We always, and this goes full circle. Well, I just need more enrollments. Well, maybe you have an 8 or 10% attrition rate. And before we go get a bunch of new enrollments, we got to get retention figured out first. And that could mean a whole bunch of different things that we could do. So that's why it's so important to have your numbers. And we preach it all the time so we can find out where the holes are. And by the way, where your strengths are as well. That's important as well.
I would say 9 times out of 10, when somebody comes on board with us, enrollments is the last thing we focus on. Would you agree with that?
That's exactly right. Because their foundational systems are not producing
are wrong.
Yeah, what they could be. Yep.
And the more students they enroll into a broken system, the more we got to fix.
Correct.
So we like to grow your school from the inside out. That's the way to put it. So, hey, I would love every single one of you, of course, right, to come to the October Elite event in Orlando, Florida, October 21 and 22, Friday and Saturday. It's $299. I mean, it's $299 to register for the event. We got so many things coming on. If you want to bring instructors or program directors or just you as a school owner, we're renting out a club called Ole Red. Some of you may have heard of it. It's, a national live music type bar, restaurant type thing. We're going to have a dinner for everybody, and then we have a DJ coming in. But I'd love all of you to attend this, not because you just want to hear us or the other elite consultants, but because you want to mingle with the 300 other people that are there that are maximizing their evening martial arts program, generating, like Mr. Costa, a student value of $250 or whatever his number was up in the comments, and ask them, how are you doing it? Where were you when you started with Maya? What have you done differently? Whether you ever even joined Maya, these are the decisions. The successful people will make the decision to further their education, to see what they're doing wrong, right? That's the difference. Now, of course, this is the seminar we're running. I also know it will change a school's life. I know that. but go to any seminars, even if they're not Maya's. Just constantly further your education. I mean, that's what we did. That's what I did. That's what Tassel did. We're constantly keeping our minds open. And I said this earlier today. I had Tass, you know, I had a breakfast with a buddy of mine, and I told him about what my business mentor told me 20 years ago. He goes, whatever people are saying, don't necessarily listen to the tone of their voice. Look deeper and ask yourself, what's their intent? Is the person, whether it's a friend, a family member, a consultant, a coach, a salesman, whoever it is their true intent, do you feel, to help you or to hurt you? And hurt you could be, man, I just feel their intent is to try to get money from me. That's going to hurt me. Look, we're sarcastic, we're funny. I just can't imagine that if somebody's really watching this, you really think that our intent here is to generate $299 for Maya. When, by the way, I asked Michael Perry to break down the cost of bringing someone to the event. The cost to with the dinner that we treat you to, and the hotel and the snacks and the coffees and everything, when we divide that out per person, it's $292. So yes, we are going to make $7 on you if you come to the event, right? But I'd love for you to register for Game Changers. I'd love to see you in person. It's different than a super show because it's much more intimate. And we have some surprises, I think, and some cool things happening. We have a whole schedule that's already put out there in the world. And I say it every time, Tass, we get on this show, and if that was our intent, to just get on the show and figure out how we can, my light just died. Sorry, I'm in the darkness. How we can get people on. I'd have a link ready for everybody.
Right.
To just click the link and sign up for Game Changers. Now, I'm hoping somebody's watching this that can put a link up there, but I don't have the link.
Right.
But anyway,
Mr.
we're
Landis,
here to help you grow your school.
We are, and Mr. Landis is part of the family, and he went look at student value 137 in January. Now he's 226 over the last 5 months. That's fantastic, sir. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Where are we at? Our student value was 137 in January. Now our average student value is 226 over the last. Yeah, that's really unbelievable. I mean, if you think about that, for those of you watching that might not be in, and there's the link, everybody. Thank you, Brian. See, I knew my team would come through. Just to put that in perspective, if Mr. Landis had 100 students before he joined the program in January or whatever, is that how much more a month he's doing?
Are we like connected in the mind or what? Yes. So 226 minus 137 is the difference in student value times 100 students. That's the difference per month, almost $9,000 a month.
With the same number of students. With the same number of students. Now, did Mr. Landis overnight just learn how to become an unbelievable salesman?
No, we taught him this.
Or did we just put systems in place?
We taught him the 5 secrets of nickel and diming your clients.
Oh, you did go over that with him already?
Yeah, we covered.
How to nickel and dime your clients?
I didn't give him the other 6, but we did cover the first 5.
Oh, okay, good.
Only kidding.
Yeah, take it slow. Take it slow. Hey guys, that's about it for us. Now, who wants to just hang out and just chat, kill some time? Look at what we got. Look at what we got. So I don't know if you know, but Silverman and I, we're into real estate, right? Commercial real estate. Well, there was a building we just purchased, and this building also had this house on the property or something. It was just all in the package, and we had some squatters in there.
Oh, for real?
So besides the needles, and stuff in there, I don't even want to touch them, to be honest with you.
That's your new location for your
We got these bad boys.
Oh boy.
Yeah, we got these.
Oh, look at, he might make some money on those. Is that Reba? I can't tell. It's a little blurry. Is that Reba?
That's Boys to Men.
Boy.
Oh, wait,
Is
no.
it?
Pointer Sisters, Breakout.
Yeah.
Pointer Sisters.
Who was the one before that?
Oh,
I say a
the one
Godspell.
before. This is Flashdance.
Oh, Flashdance. Okay, it's blurry. I couldn't see
Flashdance.
it. Gotcha. So you took those from the house.
Come on, name that album, everybody. Oh, I didn't see this one, baby.
Oh my gosh.
Shabba Ranks. Shabba.
Those gonna fit in your CD?
Yeah.
Will those fit in your CD player?
Ernie took
Little vinyl.
the Mamas and the Papas. 20 golden hits.
So did you
Now I got to go wash
Did
my
you guys
hands.
go in the house and find the people in the house? Or were they not there?
I sent my best guy,
boy.
Silverman. No, they were in there. There was like 5, and they wouldn't leave. We even offered them money. They were, listen, at the end of the day, it wasn't a good, they were, I want to say, homeless drug addicts living in there.
Yeah.
Illegally. So we didn't just kick them out. We said, hey, we'll give you money. By the way, a lot of money, but you can't stay here because this building is going to be leased to a tenant this is theirs now. You got to go out. They wouldn't leave. And then we had to get the sheriff, and the sheriff had to go in there and get them out. I mean, and take them out. So, I mean, it's
interesting.
It wasn't a good deal, but at the end of the day, we got some music for our Game Changers event now.
Yep. And some needles.
With the albums, little Shabba Ranks, Flashdance. I mean, it's going to be a party.
Oh, man. That was a surprise. That was a surprise. Well, you guys are going to hear those in the DJ booth when you come to the event. Yeah.
I ruined the surprise.
Oh, man.
Hey, guys, go out there, systemize your business, be efficient, and, oh, Mr. Blackman. Is the 6th degree test getting people out of the building, or are you coming to the test the day after the Elite event, which we're doing a high-level instructor test on that Sunday after the Elite event? Saturday night, actually, and Sunday. Anyway, any last words, Tass?
No, man. I mean, I say no, and then I'll say this. If you don't know your numbers, start tracking your numbers. I mean, the best time to start tracking your numbers was, when you started your business. The second best time is today. So if you don't know them, start to track them. If you don't know what to track, reach out to us. We can help you, because that's what's going to help you get to work from where you are to where you want to go, is be able to navigate those numbers.
Hey, and Mr. Hensley, I am in the process of starting my first school. I would love to talk to you guys about some suggestions might have. It seems like a lot of your stuff is for already established schools, though. Exactly right. Just DM one of us your credit card number. We'll run that, and then we'll jump on a call. What's the matter?
DM. I don't even know.
Kidding.
Yeah. That's
is
so
it
funny.
DM or is it PM?
I think if you're on Instagram, it's DM. I don't know. PM, DM.
Of course, sir, we'd be happy to help.
Yeah.
We'd be happy to help.
And
by the way, I'll tell you right now, Mr. Hey, real quick, listen to this, everyone. Wait, we'll help you out. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not signing you up for anything, because we're not going to sign you up without a school. So we will give you free advice and not sign you up for anything.
And by the way,
unless I can create a program real quick.
Yeah, when you say it's already established schools, well, Matt, you guys are opening up a location or two, and one I think sooner than the other, but those are going to start with 0 students. So yes, we've been down that road as well. So we can help you.
So just private message us on Facebook, Shane Tossel, Metzger, or whatever. We can give you some suggestions. I'm jumping into a meeting now, but yeah, we'd be more than happy to help. Or by the way, this is good information for everybody. Jump on next week and ask the questions live, and it might help other people. We can go over what we would do opening a new school, or I can share with everybody. But either way, we'll help you. If you want to call us or whatever.
Right.
Tass, what are you going to be available next week or no? Are you flying?
Yeah, I should be available. Yeah, I'll be available. Yeah. Yeah. I don't fly till 5:40.
All right, guys. Oh, look, everybody, look, Mr. Hensley, there you go. There's a calendar there where you could schedule a call and get on the phone to get some information. Free help, free advice. Like I said, we're not going to sign you up when you don't even have a school yet. So don't worry. I mean, I say that because everyone's afraid. Well, not everyone, but some people won't reach out because they say you're just going to sell us. Well, I'll sell you if I think we can help you. But I can tell you right now, if you don't even have a school, I can help you, but I'm not going to sign you up and sell you on a program when you don't even have your school open. So, all right. Neither is Tassel. By the way, guys, thanks so much for joining in. Great talk today, everyone.
All right, Mets. Appreciate you guys. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everybody. Bye-bye, everyone.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Yeah.